everyone. I'm Leslie Verner from Carolina Breast Friends, and we are very glad to have you with us today and excited to have Laura Coleman with us again. She is a breast cancer survivor, a cancer exercise specialist, and our favorite chef. So, Laura, thank you so much for always bringing us these delicious recipes, and we're excited to see what you're going to prepare for us today.
Okay, so welcome to the first Pink House Cooking Kitchen of 2021. And when I was thinking about what to start January off with, I decided to kind of go with almost a light Mediterranean, well, it is Mediterranean kind of theme. Everybody's on the anti-inflammatory diet, the Mediterranean diet. So that's where I chose to start. And then on top of that, we're all kind of like in that whole winter mode where we're eating soups and, more hearty foods just because it's cold out. So I thought it would be fun to kind of maybe bring a little spring and summer into our kitchen. Hopeful that spring will be here way before April. I'm hoping for spring to come in February. Anyhow, I also added a dessert into our menu this month. And the reason why I did that is that the Pink House is going to be offering, I think it's called the Cancer Fighting Kitchen series, Leslie.
The Healing Kitchen or the Cancer Fighting Kitchen, either one.
Right. So they're going to be offering that to all survivors at the Pink House. Rebecca Katz is an amazing chef. She's worked years and years and years with cancer survivors, and she's really developed some foods and recipes that really incorporate all the benefits of, vitamins and minerals and nutrients and antioxidants that are available in food. And she's come up with recipes that will help people that are going through, say, chemotherapy, kind of help them through the fatigue and some people experience not wanting to eat through chemotherapy. So all of her recipes kind of help counter some of the side effects and balance some of the side effects. So I decided to lead off tonight with, of course, chocolate. She does what is called an adult chocolate pudding. So it's made a little differently than traditional chocolate pudding. But before I start that, I'm going to throw my bulgur on and get it cooking so that by the time we're done with the chocolate pudding, we can just go right into the cauliflower tabbouleh recipe. So I've boiled my water. I personally am making a little extra bulgur because I will throw that into soups that I have. I'll freeze it. It's already done. I'll defrost it, throw it into salads. It's a very nutrient dense grain. It's high in fiber, and it has a pretty good protein count to it. If you can't find bulgur, which you can find it in Whole Foods. It's about $3 a bag. So you can see that. If you can't find that, quinoa is a great substitute. I would say couscous, you can use couscous, but I would go for more like the brown rice couscous. You can use any whole grain. If you wanted to, you could use millet. That's another good substitute, but you can play with it. So I'm just gonna, I have my water boiled here. I'm just gonna dump I'm calling it couscous now. I'm just going to put my bulgur in here, give it a stir, and I'm going to bring it back to a boil. And then when it's done boiling it, I'm just going to cover it and let it simmer for about 10 minutes, turn the heat off. So it cooks us a lot similarly to like quinoa would. And then I'll turn the heat off and let it sit for 5 minutes. And then I'm going to cool it down before I throw it into the cauliflower tabbouleh. All right, so while that's going, I'll keep an eye on it. And we're going to get started with the chocolate pudding because it's dessert. I'm going to get it out of the way and get it refrigerated. So Rebecca Katz uses kudzu root starch, which is a root that is grown in the mountains of Japan, and it's an anti-inflammatory. It is a high antioxidant root. It helps aid in digestion. And if you can't find it, because it is kind of hard to find around here, you can substitute arrowroot. And if you can't find arrowroot, go for the good old cornstarch, okay? So I have my arrowroot or my kudzu here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to dissolve, or I'm going to put some of my full fat coconut milk in here. And coconut milk it's a healthy fat. So this recipe is a good balance of healthy fat, low sugar. And if you look at it, when you open it up, you can see all the solids up top. So I'm just going to kind of poke a hole in it. And then I am going to look at my spoons. And I'm just going to kind of get to the liquid at the bottom. And you'll see when I pour it out. So the milk solid, the coconut solids go to the top. And then you'll see some of the liquid at the bottom. And it's about a half a cup, but all you really want to do, I'm just pushing all the coconut fat or the solid down to the bottom. So all I'm going to do is kind of stir this together with a whisk and get the kudzu to dissolve, kind of like you would with cornstarch or arrowroot. So you're making a slurry. And this is what's going to thicken the pudding. All right, I'm going to push this to the side because I am going to stir that every now and then, because obviously I'm going to grab a paper towel, excuse me. As it sits, it'll start to separate again. So then I'm going to get my pot here ready for the rest of the pudding. And I have a little scale here. We'll talk about the chocolate that we use. Dark chocolate, 70% cocoa or higher is the best chocolate you can use. It's lower in sugar, it's higher in antioxidants, and has a greater health benefit. So I just bought the chocolate chips because it was a more affordable option as opposed to buying bars of it and having to spend extra money on the bars. These I'll use because I'll throw them into pancakes if I'm making pancakes, or I'll throw them into, oatmeal cookies. So I just get a lot more use out of this. So what we're going to do now is get the remaining coconut milk into my pot. All kind of mixed in through here. I'm going to measure out maple syrup. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the maple syrup. So you want grade A dark amber color maple syrup. So I just got amber color. I couldn't find dark amber, and it's fine. It's just the darker the color, the richer the flavor. So I'm going to throw 3 tablespoons. And sugar is sugar is sugar, right? Sugar is sugar, whether it's maple syrup, whether it's honey. There's just better choices when it comes to sugar. So this would be a better choice when it came to the sugar. So 3 tablespoons in here. And I am going to measure the syrup because I don't want more sugar.
Laura,
And
can I ask a question?
sure.
So I bought completely cacao chips, so they have no sugar in them. I wanted that. So
You're
how
fine.
much extra sweetener would I want to add to sweeten it down a little bit more? Like a more natural sweetener?
So is it a bittersweet?
Yeah, I just tried one. Definitely not sweet.
So I'm gonna have to get a little closer and see.
Is this backwards?
Yeah, can you flip it upside down?
Yeah.
Perfect. It's unsweetened.
Yes.
You know, I don't think you're gonna have a problem with it. I would just, because we're gonna add raspberries in there too. The only thing, I wouldn't add more of the syrup in there. I just might maybe take a little bit of sugar at the end. If it's, do you have super fine sugar?
I have like a stevia kind of powdered sugar, and I've got some fine, some of that stuff.
Yeah, and honestly, this is the first time I'm making this recipe as well. So when I found out that the Pink House was bringing this program on, I just kind of thought it would be fun to pull one of her recipes in and
Yeah,
try
I made
it.
it. I've made this already.
Oh,
And
you have?
yes, it's delicious.
So
But
did you make it? Go
I
ahead.
only made it once, and I did not use these.
So let's maybe add, I'm just going to say like a teaspoon of sugar.
Yeah, I'll add a packet of stevia to it and see what
Yeah,
happens.
there you go. And
Yeah,
see what
okay.
happens. So, okay.
Yeah, thank
All
you.
right. So no worries. So now we're going to add our seasonings. And cinnamon and chocolate are divine together. So is cardamom, and I love the smell of it. So if you haven't smelled it, smell it. It's delicious. So we're gonna take a quarter of a teaspoon of cardamom and put that in here. Oops. And then we've got a half a teaspoon of cinnamon. So I'm gonna put 2 of these in, because 2 quarters equal a half. And then I am also going to put in some vanilla. We've got 1 teaspoon of vanilla. You know, Charlene, vanilla, a little extra vanilla might help now that I'm thinking of it, as opposed to the stevia. And you can try that and
Okay,
see.
thank you.
So I'm going to mix it up. Put this off to the side. I'm going to take this here, get everything to kind of come together. And then I'm going to weigh out 3.5 ounces of the chocolate. So here's the thing with the chocolate. If you buy it by the bar, usually like 1 square is 1 ounce. So, or 2 squares is 1 ounce, depending on the kind of bar that you buy. All right. I'm just breaking up the milk, the coconut fat solids in here. All right, so now I'm going to turn this on. I'm going to put it over. I've got my bulgur down to a simmer. Get this on. I'm going to heat this up. And while this is heating, I'm just going to weigh out 3.5 ounces of the chocolate. So I'm just clearing the scale, and I'm just going to weigh out 3.5 ounces. And if you go over a little, it's not a big deal, right? A little extra chocolatey. I'm going to stir, keep stirring this, whisking it up. Charlene, when did you make this?
When did I make it?
Mm-hmm.
Probably 3 weeks ago, maybe. I
Okay.
got it from, I don't know, something I get and like a notification, and it was in there and I recognized her name, you know, because I have her cookbook and I've done the thing you were talking
So
about.
are you with Novant?
Yes,
So then did you do the course that Novant authored?
I did a lot of it. I didn't do all of it. I still
Okay.
have it until March. So my
Okay.
goal was to get back into it. And then maybe if I lose that one, maybe I can sign back up again through the Pink House to keep
There you
it
go.
going.
You can, and it'll be a link that you'll be able to keep forever, Charlene.
Oh, okay, because
And
this
it's
link,
free, absolutely free.
sweet, yeah, because the link that I have says it's only good till March of 2021, but I don't,
I
you
think,
know, I
yeah,
don't know.
Novant offers it for a year, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, ours is unlimited, is my understanding. And I have a workbook for the first 200 survivors that sign up. And we're going to do an information session in early March to kick it off. But if any of you from today are interested in going ahead and signing up and getting Tammy, I think you've even got the workbook already. Because that was in that box underneath the table in my office. Yep, I can't hear you. You're muted, but I can read your lips. So anyway, but yes, Charlene, I'd love for you and Denise and Adrian, anybody that wants to sign up, because it is an amazing, there's the workbook. It's an
I
amazing
think I
class.
have that, actually. Yeah, I
Okay.
think I got it, so.
Well,
Yeah,
and if you
I
don't,
would
let me
like to
know.
do that, Leslie. That'd be great.
You, Denise, you
Yeah.
want to sign up?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right.
It's
Okay.
so
Well,
worth it.
I need
Yeah.
to, it's very well done. And you know, if Laura likes it, it's going to be wonderful.
Yes,
Yeah,
I do
mean,
too.
I love her magic mineral broth. I'm a vegetarian, so for me, the broth that she makes, there's so many antioxidants and nutrient dense foods that go in there, and it's so flavorful. So it's a lot of vegetables, but it's so worth it. So worth it. All right, so we're just waiting for this to start to kind of come to a bubble. And I'm gonna mix up my little slurry again to make sure I've got all it kind of stays nice and smooth. Keep it going. I feel like I'm at the Pink House with how slow this is cooking for some reason today. I think, you know why I store the coconut milk out in the garage, in my pantry in the garage. So it was a little cold. So it's taken a little longer to kind of heat up. So it's starting to come to a bubble now. So I'm going to slowly drizzle the kudzu root slurry in and continue stirring it, and it's going to start to slowly thicken. And from here, this is what's going to melt the chocolate. So it's going. And I can feel it. It's starting to get nice and thick, and you'll see it once we pour it into the cups. And I think there's a misprint on her recipe. It's at one point it says it's 4 servings, and then I think she says pour it into 6 ramekins. So that was a little confusing to me when I read this. So I'm just going to read it again. Yep. So now I'm going to turn off the heat. And I added the vanilla in earlier. And I'm just going to mix. I'm going to whisk in the chocolate, and it's going to start to darken. It smells delicious. And it does. It looks like all the chocolate is melted. I'm going to take it off the heat now and come over here. All right, so I'm going to put this. I'm going to say 4. Maybe Charlene will know. Charlene, did it go into 6 ramekins or 4?
I
Did it
put
make
it
6
in, I didn't
or
have any
4?
6 ramekins open, so I put it in just like a soup mug thing, and then I just ate it in, like 3 servings or
Yep.
something. I
So
think
it's
it takes
about,
4.
it makes 6. I'm looking
It
at
does
how
make
much is
6?
pouring out. Yeah.
Okay.
It's about a half a cup is a serving. So you can, I don't know if you guys can see this. I'll tilt this one. Here, I'll do this. Watch. So you can see, can you see that? And we'll throw it in the fridge and let it cool down. And I'm gonna leave this out because I am gonna try it a little later. So
Will
let me
it
just throw
thicken?
these.
Laura, will it thicken more in the fridge, or how do you know when
Yes.
it's the consistency that you want it to be?
When it's cooled, it'll be a thick pudding. So I'm gonna taste it when we come back, just while it's hot. This is where I need the refrigerator to be on this side of the kitchen. And if I just grab a little spoon. It's really good. And I think with the strawberries, you can put strawberries in there too. She calls for raspberries, but strawberries will be delicious as well. So there you have it. That's your pudding. When we're done, we'll see how much it thickens, but I mean, it'll probably take a little bit of time to thicken just because, it's going to need some time to cool. So I'll clear this up out of the way and pull everything else out that we're going to be using. I can bring my wine over now. I usually don't drink wine when we do this, but I've had a day. All right. So my daughter is here. She's moving to Brooklyn tomorrow. So they're packing up the car now. It's a little sad. I'm a little melancholy that she's leaving, but she's super excited because she gets to eat this tonight before she leaves tomorrow. All right, let's get this all up and going.
I'm so impressed with how organized you are.
I don't think I'm that organized.
That looks
All right.
wonderful.
Here we go. Okay, so let's flip over. So I want to talk about a few things. So I have all my mise en place. So that's what this is called. Mise en place is having all of your ingredients ready to go. So I'm going to grab one more cutting board so I don't have to move all that. And this fits in the dishwasher, so I won't have to wash it. There we go. And get a nice bowl for this to go in. All right. So y'all have had tabbouleh before? No, really? Okay, so this is a real fun take on it. So I am going to start. I have the, and I'll show you kind of what the bulgur looks like. I'll pull it over and see if you can see it. So it really does look like couscous or quinoa, right? So it's just a different type of grain. So I'm gonna pull about a cup of this out and I'm gonna throw it in the fridge to cool it down.
Laura, I have to show you mine. I got the red bulgur, and that's how it turns out. So it didn't have as much water in it, which I was surprised, or maybe I just cooked it longer than, because it's not the same. It's like
you did bulgur, and
yeah,
it's red bulgur.
It was red bulgur, Bob's Red Mill red bulgur.
Can I see it?
Yeah.
Huh.
It doesn't look much different.
No, it's not. It looks the same color, huh?
But it said it was
I've
red
never
bulgur.
seen red bulgur before. So I'm going to throw this in and cool this down. All right. And we're going to start with the cauliflower. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is get the cauliflower. Now, I had, and it's in packaging, so it has like a few little, it almost looks like frozen spots on the end. So there's this little black little dots on here. So I'm probably going to cut that off. So all I'm going to do from here is I am going to pull, and I did some work here. I'm just going to kind of pull these leaves off. And then I'm going to cut this into quarters because that's going to be the easiest way to kind of start to grate it. So my grater is a little smaller than, I don't know why I got rid of the big grater. You could probably throw this into the food processor and pulse it a couple of times. That always works well too. But sometimes, like for me, I just love I love handling the food, you know what I mean? And just sometimes doing things by hand just gives me more satisfaction. So I'm coring it. So I'm taking that core out of the center. I'm going to break it up into 3 pieces. And then I'll do the same thing on this side. Sometimes you can just pull it right out. This one. And there we go. Okay. And I am going to get my grater. You can stand up and come in here. You can stand up. She's doing the army crawl on the ground. In the laundry room.
Can you introduce us to her?
She can come back in and I will. I have my ear piece in, so she can't hear you guys, but Tori, can you come in and just say hi real quick? So this is my oldest daughter, Victoria.
Hi, Victoria.
This is the Pink House Cooking Kitchen ladies. She's gonna come in.
There she is.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right. So I'm gonna get this locked in if it wants to work. All right. And I'm just gonna gently grate it. And it's just gonna make rice cauliflower. And I wouldn't worry about having all like, what's the word? Same size pieces. I mean, when you buy it in the store, it's not the same size. Just grate it. It is a little messy, but it's worth it. It's so pretty. So I left a little bit of the stalk on, and I'm not going to throw the stalk away, like the thick white part. This is good. I'm going to save this. I'm going to chop it up and throw it into salads. So it's totally edible. And this is a little small, so I'm going to have to empty it. And then I'll show you what this looks like. It's super pretty, super colorful. So you can see here what it's starting to look like. My head of cauliflower was a little larger. So I'm not going to do it all. I'm going to save some of it. Charlene, were you able to find purple cauliflower?
I did not look.
You just went with the regular cauliflower.
I'm actually not making that because it's winter and it just didn't sound good to me. So I'll keep the recipe though, and I'm, watching you make it, which is great.
There you go.
I would probably buy the already diced up,
Cauliflower.
already riced stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna do one more head and then I'm gonna clean this up. And now I was toying with doing a soup and then this, but I opted for this. Next month we'll be doing soup. And maybe we'll do the magic mineral broth that is with Rebecca Katz's recipe.
That'd be
You know,
great.
That
Yeah.
would be great, because I have not gotten up enough nerve to make it, because the list is so big of stuff to buy and things like that. So I would welcome making that as a group, and that would get me started.
Perfect. Then
do it again,
we'll
yeah.
do that. Yep.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
made it one time, and to me, it was just overwhelming because it's such a long list, and, vegetables that aren't that easy to find.
Right.
Like what vegetables are you saying that are not easy to find?
Well, I can't remember, but there was a lot of purple stuff. Like, was there purple sweet potatoes or something? I don't know.
Red potatoes and
Let me see
carrots and
from the
celery.
menu.
Yeah, something. I had to look up what it was. Maybe it
How
starts.
much does it make?
Well,
That's a
it makes a huge amount. I remember
It makes a lot.
And
She
then
gives the option, she does give the option for doing a half recipe though. So she'll sit there and say, buy all the vegetables and then cut them in half and put them in the freezer in a bag for the next time you want to make them.
and
I
then
do
you put
believe
it,
she does do that.
I remember, don't you put everything in kind of whole, or you don't peel anything?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, with any stock that you make, so if you were to make chicken stock, typically what you would do is you would take all the vegetables and you would just quarter like the onion, skins and all, and it goes in. The same thing with the carrots. If you buy carrots, the skin and all on the carrots. What else goes in there? Celery, the celery leaves. There's so much flavor in the celery leaves that all adds to this stock. So I think that's kind of what she's going after as well. Okay, so I'm gonna adjust this stuff. We have the cauliflower grated and ready to go. And if you don't want to do this, buy the already riced cauliflower. So
I was going to ask you, Laura, so if you buy the already riced like I did, how many cups of that riced cauliflower are we talking? Like, what's
just
the?
throw the bag in. There's really
Okay.
no like right or wrong way to do this. And I mean, like if you like more cucumber, feel free to put more cucumber in there. I have a very large cucumber, so I'm putting only half of the cucumber in. So I'm going to dice this nice and small, and I don't know why, I've never really seen them this big, but they're huge and it's organic, so who knows? Usually the organic
are
ones,
smaller, right?
exactly. That's what I was saying. So I was very confused when I saw this. I'm like, heck, I'll take it. It's going to save me a little money because usually, right, they're a little more expensive. And I buy organic vegetables as often as I can, just because that's a huge part of my diet. And you all know about the Dirty Dozen, the Clean 15. So, yeah.
So I was going to ask, when you wash that cucumber, did you just rinse it under water, or did you, I know it's organic, so it wouldn't have as many pesticides as others, but how do you just wash your vegetables? Just under water?
I wash them underwater, but I really rub the skins with my fingers. So I get under there and I just massage the skins with my fingers and make sure that, I'm getting any residual pesticide off, because I mean, let's be realistic. It says organic, but there's no proof that they haven't used some type of pesticide. And it's so funny because my husband's always the first one to sit there and say, yeah, one field over here is organic, but the field next to it is non-organic. So when they're spraying the non-organic fields, you know, some of those pesticides are wafting over in the air into the into the organic side of the farm, right? And
Yeah.
he's got a very valid point. So you can walk in. Can't see you. I'll introduce you to him too at some point. All right, so I've got the cucumber in there, and there's no order to it. I mean, I'm just gonna put everything in. I prefer grape cherries, so I'm using grape cherries as opposed to cucumber cherries. I mean, cucumber cherries. What do they call for? What did I put in here? Cherry tomatoes. So I like the grape ones. So that's what I'm using. You can use any tomato you want. So if you like more of the heirloom tomatoes, go for those. A lot of times I buy those just because I love all the different colors. So I'm just quartering these. If they're a little bigger, I'm going to go into 6. But I was lucky enough to get some pretty small grape tomatoes. The other thing I'm going to say too is if you're not a salmon person, serve it with some chicken, you know. That's another good one. For me, I would probably do it with some tempeh or some tofu. So my oldest daughter, who you just met, she's a vegetarian as well. So it was really fun to have her around because usually I'm eating vegetarian all by myself. So it was fun to kind of actually cook and have somebody else eat the food I was cooking. You know, so when I was making 2 meals, it was enjoyed by 2 people, not 2 meals for each person to eat. And she was so funny. She would be like, "Dad, you just got to try the tofu." He's like, "I don't like tofu. I don't like tofu." And he would never try it for me, but he tried it for her. He ate it. He won't eat it again, but he ate it.
So you guys, I had another magic mineral broth that I think I got from Chase Bailey Dorton. So that was the one. It called for like Japanese or Hannah's yams, garnet yam, kombu, which I still have from a year and a half ago. So it was slightly different than the recipe that's in Rebecca Katz's.
Is it really?
Yeah,
Well,
so that was the one that I made, and it was called Nourishment in a Bowl.
Yeah, Dr. Wheel is who, or Weil, however you want to say it,
Yeah.
is who Dr. Bailey Dorton studied under, and he's another one. He really promotes the anti-inflammatory diet, as he calls it, but it's pretty much the Mediterranean diet as well. And he's opened up a bunch of restaurants, actually. Fox Food Concepts. So, you know, what's the name of that restaurant that opened up? Something Girl, Flower Girl, down in South End. Have you guys heard of that place?
Flower Child is who you're talking
Flower
about.
Child, yes.
It's very
that's one
good.
Of his, yeah.
Yep.
So
Very
in
good.
California and other parts of the country, there's a restaurant called True Foods, which was my favorite restaurant when I lived in California. And it's all clean food recipes, which is kind of what Rebecca Katz does as well. So, yeah, there's a lot of similarities between the 2 chefs. Okay, so we've got that in. I'm going to go for some green onion, and I'm going to I like green onion, so I'm going to go a little heavier on the green onion. So I'm just going to cut the ends off because they're a little, what's the word? Looking a little frail, ragged. And the green onions have not looked very good at all lately, right?
No, they haven't.
And you're gonna use all the green right down to the white. And you know, we know what I'm gonna do with these, right? I've done it so many times. Okay, let's see. Give me a second. So I have a little cup of water. I am gonna throw my green onion root down into the water, and they will regenerate over the next couple of days. So it's so funny. I did that with my daughter when she was here because we used a lot of green onions. So I had one bunch, and I think we got, I don't know, 3 rounds of new green onion sprouts over the course of like 4 days. So in 4 days, they grew. I used them, cut them down again. Another 4 days, they grew again and used them.
Do you put them in the fridge, I'm assuming?
Nope, I leave them on the counter and I change the water out every day. So I'll dump the water and then change the water out.
I do that with carrot tops and bok choy and
Bok
yeah.
choy, really?
Yeah, bok choy. Sure, I got a couple growing right now.
Okay, you have to show me that one because I haven't seen that one.
Yeah.
All right. So my green onions are pretty thick, which is another thing that's really rare. You can see how fat they are. So I'm just going to give them another coarse chop. Throw them in. All right, moving on. I'm going to do some same thing. So I store my herbs in a cup in the fridge on the door, and it stays nice and fresh and crisp. If you keep them in the drawer, they tend to wilt. So now I'm going to add some mint.
Do you put water in the bottom of them or no?
I do. I have a little bit of water in the bottom, and like every 2 days, I'll dump out the water and change out the water.
Okay.
And then if it looks like it's starting to wilt, I'll cut the stems again
Yep.
so that the water starts seeping up through here. So and I'm going to take a bunch of mint. And I'm just going to start cutting that. Can you guys see? I'm like, I know I have all of this out in here. If at any time you can't see, yell. And if you have like a little mini food processor, honestly, and you're not like real comfortable with your knife skills, or you don't want to be chopping, throw it into a little food processor, pulse it a couple of times. It's going to be, you'll have the same kind of effect as opposed to sitting here and doing all this chopping. I do have a little mini, I think they're like $20. You can get one at Costco or even Bed Bath & Beyond. A lot of times if I'm in a rush, I get home late and I've got to do some prep work. That's what I'll do. I love mint, but I don't like a big hunk of mint. All right. And that's pretty fine. So I'm going to throw the mint in. And then I'm going to do my parsley. And parsley, I do stems and all. So mint, I won't do the stems, but for the parsley, I do use the stems on the parsley. Except that big one, that one I won't use. Just going to fold this one over, bunch it together, and start the chop. And you could throw the mint and the parsley into the food processor together, and there you go.
And then Laura, do you use the rest of the mint for mojitos, or what do you use the rest of the mint for?
No, I'm not a big mojito girl, so I will use the mint for, I'm trying to think, what do I like with mint that I drink? Oh my gosh, I don't know. It's been so long.
That will be our job, to find a different drink than mojitos that you can use your mint in.
Oh, mint julep.
There you go.
There's a drink in the Rebecca Katz thing. I don't know what it's called, but it has
Yes.
mint in it too.
Yeah, here it is.
Delicious.
Pomegranate mock mojito. Is that
Yes,
the one?
and I drink that all summer long. It is
Wow.
wonderful.
Looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the parsley is good. That's in there. And I'm ready to juice my lemons. So now I said the juice of 1 to 2 lemons, right? And the reason why I said that is because sometimes some lemons are super like potent with lemony flavor and it becomes overwhelming. So I'll start with 1 lemon. I'll juice it into there, and then I will, where's my cup, my little bowl? I'm gonna use this one. And then I'll add more lemon if I need it. So I'm gonna juice 1 lemon. This is my favorite tool. Really gets all the juice out of it. And the amount of juice I'm getting out of this lemon, I'm not going to add that second lemon. This is going to be plenty. And the lemons are big, right? So if you have smaller lemons, I might use 2 lemons. I'm going to add a little bit of, I'm going to add olive oil. I tend to go a little lighter on the olive oil. I'm just going to give it a nice little whisk. Incorporate it. I'm going to put my salt and pepper into here. I could always add more after once I taste everything. Whisk to dissolve. I'm going to pour this over. And I'll taste it. If I feel like I need a little more olive oil, I might toss a little more olive oil in there, or I might add a little more lemon juice based on the flavors. I'm going to toss this and throw my bulgur in. All right, let me grab the bulgur. On the cooking, what is it called? The Food Network. They have the flash freezers. That's what I need right now, is a flash freezer. I always say this, like, your dressing is personal taste. Sometimes people like a little more lemon forward flavoring. You could always throw some zest in there if you'd like. I don't think it needs anything else. It's very clean, nice and crisp. And I'll start to plate this and I'll show you what this is going to look like. I'm going to move some of this out of the way. Clean up. And Denise, you can throw as many cucumbers in there as you like. So there we go. So
Yeah.
I'll walk this over in a second. And then we'll start with our, I'll give you a look right now. So you can see, can you guys see that okay? Yeah, you can see it's just super pretty, right?
It's very pretty.
Good, okay. And now we're gonna start with the salmon. So the salmon, I decided to kind of just go with a simple flavor. But I'm gonna do 2 ways. So I'm gonna do one with salt and pepper. And then I'm gonna heat my pan first before I put the olive oil in there. And I'm gonna do one with lemon pepper. And I'm gonna do one with lemon pepper for 2 reasons. I think the lemon pepper will be a nice little complement to this. And my husband really only likes salmon with lemon pepper on it. So that's what we're gonna do. And it's, let's see. This is his personal jar of lemon pepper seasoning. It's huge. He's the only one that uses it, but he goes through it pretty fast. So I'm gonna grab the salmon. And it smells, there's no odor to it whatsoever. So I'm gonna do one with salt and pepper, one with lemon pepper. You wanna meet them?
Sure.
Come on in. They can't hear you. This is my husband, John.
We can hear him. Hi, John.
Yeah.
Oh, you can hear him?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can
You
hear.
hear?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Typically when I put this in, like no one else can hear
They
anything.
can probably hear me through your microphone.
Oh, see, we heard that.
There you go.
Hopefully next time it's all in person.
Yeah.
Cold
Thank you.
cocktail.
All right. Have a safe trip.
Speaking of which,
All right, so I'm just gonna put some lemon pepper on one side. I use one hand to season, the other hand to move the fish. And then on the other side, I am going to get my salt. This one I'm just gonna salt, and I use sea salt. And I do have to kind of wash. Salt and pepper. Turn. Get this pepper going. A little more salt. He loves salt, so I'll throw a little more salt on his. All right. And now that this is heating up, I'm just going to put about 2 to 3 tablespoons of olive oil in here. Swirl it around. Turn it down to medium. Get the salmon in there. And it's going to cook about 3 to 4 minutes per side. And this is when I get to have a sip of wine while that's just kind of searing. You can cook your salmon any way you want. If you want to do it in parchment packets in the oven, if you want to throw it on the grill. A lot of times he'll do it in the, because he loves salmon. That's kind of one of his like go-to meals. He'll throw it in the oven under the broiler and just flip it and broil it underneath the broiler. But that would be hard for you guys to see. So that's kind of why we're doing it this way too.
Laura, when you buy your salmon, do you always buy wild caught or farm raised?
You know what? I by what he will eat, and he really likes the Costco farm raised
Yep.
salmon. It comes individually wrapped, so that's what this is. So I think that's an individual preference.
Mhm.
I mean, as long as it's humanely raised, farm raised, you know what I mean? Then I think you're fine. But I don't eat it,
Uh-huh.
so I defer to what he wants.
Okay.
So, and it's a very inexpensive option. I know Trader Joe's has one as well, but I think they have wild caught.
Yeah, I think I
From
use
Trader
the
Joe's.
one that is at Costco, but I just bought, because I'm having my daughter and her boyfriend over, and I do a chili lime salmon taco, and they have wild caught. Let me get it for you because I have it. It's got a longer shelf life also.
Yeah.
Now it has the skin on,
Uh-huh.
I bought that. Yeah.
and I can just throw, lime zest and some salt and some chili powder, and I can toss this in the oven for about 12 minutes
Wow.
at a high temp, and then you just flake it off. It's got the skin on. So, because the wild salmon, they don't really like to take the skin off because it's a lot thinner.
Okay.
Yeah. He actually prefers the skin. He likes the skin. He likes to get it nice and crispy. So that I don't know. So I'll show you one side. If you can see, I'll pick it up. Can you see how nice and like caramelized and seared that is? I'll show you when it's done, because a few more minutes. The lemon pepper tends to get a little blackened, and that's what he prefers. So and then what I'll do with this, I mean, I don't know if you're interested or if anybody's interested in plant-based meals, but here I might take some tempeh and just marinate some tempeh and some lemongrass. And then I would just saute it and serve it with this, which is really nice. I'd love to do like a strictly like plant-based like one night,
Okay.
which I think, maybe down the road when we get more into the spring,
Yeah.
months.
Well, and I love the fact that you're highlighting some of Rebecca Katz's recipes, especially as we get closer to March when we're going to kick off that Healing Kitchen, because people could
Yeah.
start taking advantage of the online program now as soon as I give them the workbook.
So we will kick off in March. We'll kick off Pink House Cooking Kitchen with some of her recipes. So I'll go through and pull a couple of recipes and we'll do it together. All right. All right. So I'm going to take one here. This is big salmon, like this, honestly. So let me show you how nice and caramelized this gets here when we're doing it. Can you see that?
Oh yeah, that looks nice.
So and then it goes here. And then all I might do throw a couple of these on, make it look fancy because it's so hard to go out and eat nowadays. And then I'm going to take my lemon. If I was really fancy, I'd throw these under the broiler. And caramelize the lemon, and that would be really nice. So there you have,
Beautiful.
I'll roll this down so you can see. I don't know, can you see that? How's the lighting?
Yes,
So
it
you
looks
have
great.
this here,
Mhm.
Wow.
which is just your salt and pepper. And then you can see how like the lemon pepper gets a little more blackened.
That looks
That's
yummy.
what he likes. There you go. And then we're just gonna check the chocolate pudding. See. I'm just gonna check the consistency of it. So I've pre-washed my blueberries, and I'm just gonna say, what is chocolate pudding without a little bit of whipped cream, right? So
Those don't look like blueberries. They look like something red. Is it my
they are
computer?
the raspberries. Did I say blueberries?
Okay, sorry, just checking because I've had 2 glasses of wine, so I wanted to make sure.
Oh, Tammy.
I know, right? But I'm not done.
Oui, j'ai enlevé.
All right, so there we go. I'll move this in. I didn't do it so pretty, but I think it needs just a little bit of whipped cream, just every now and then, right?
Oh, gosh, that
and-
looks good.
Yes.
There you go.
Eat
Super
dessert
delicious,
first.
I'm sure. Let's see how good it is. I know, I'll push back up. Let's see. Oh, this is really good. It is really good. So it still needs a little more time because it's still a little bit, you can see a little bit runny, but it's only been in there for less than an hour.
Yeah.
This is really good. I love the cardamom and the cinnamon with it. So Charlene, you could attest to that, right? You've had it?
I can, yes. And I added more cardamom the first time, more than it called for, because it just kind of dumped out. So I put the exact amount in this time and I tasted it, and I think I liked it with more cardamom and more cinnamon too.
I did heaping, so I
Yes.
tend to as well. So
I'll do heaping
there you
next
go.
time.